Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stronger, Healthier, and Happier, the official podcast of Hill Family Chiropractic. I'm Michael, and I'm joined, as always, by Dr. Jerod Hill, owner, CEO, founder of Hill Family Chiropractic in Branson, Missouri. In case you're not from here and you're listening to us, like our friend in the UK.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Hey, and speaking of that, you got the anniversary.
20-year anniversary.
That was last
on.
year.
Last year. We are past 20 years of business in the Branson area. That's
crazy.
A lot of people
it's been fun.
served. Yeah, pretty great. Pretty awesome. And so we're glad you guys are here. We're continuing our series on getting better results faster, getting what to do, what not to do, to get the most out of your chiropractic care and to increase the just overall health of your life, right? Becoming stronger, healthier, and happier.
Yeah, whether you're a patient or not here, or even get chiropractic care or not, hopefully you can learn some strategies on how to better take care of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. That's the goal, and that's what we're trying to do. And so I wanted to start by asking you a question. We kind of been updating each other on a week, but week to week, not that much happens, maybe. Just more work, right? So I was going to ask you just a question about your life, and here it is. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Are you ready? All right. What is like the worst accident you've ever been in?
The worst accident? Well, man, we have just one. Just one accident.
Yeah, I guess you may have a bunch.
I've lived hard of like just sports activities, snowmobile accidents, skiing, water skiing, snow skiing, motorcycle wrecks, bike wrecks, just fun stuff, trampolines and growing up. But I would say one thing that stood out in my mind was pretty traumatic to my body was I broke my femur.
Ooh, that's the big one, right? In your leg.
The big bone.
Yeah. Yikes.
Snapped it in two skiing. Did this not very smart. Don't try this at home, kids. Of trying a backflip, getting pulled behind a 3-wheeler with my friends in Wyoming, kind of like you're skiing behind the 3-wheeler, and then you veer off to the side. We made this huge 10-foot jump with snow, and you'd hit that jump, and we do all kinds of tricks. Well, we decided to start doing backflips. Well, my first time trying didn't go so well, so I came around and then didn't quite make it all the way, so I bent backwards in half. My left ski broke, my right femur snapped in two, and but the worst thing that was my compressed and destroyed the disc in the very bottom of my spine too. So temporarily paralyzed, laying there in the snow. I'm like, what did I just do? I was in a lot of pain, but also just the main thing, the fear of not being able to move. So like my legs and stuff like that. So, and anyway, long story short is, thank the Lord that my dad was a chiropractor, because they didn't think that I'd be able to do competitive sports and really be able to be active from all the injury that I had. But he took care of me. So that's really one of the things that kind of helped inspire me to really seriously start thinking about chiropractic as a potential career, just because how my dad helped me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, yeah, that's great.
What about you?
Oh man. See, I've lived a much less high intense life than you. High intensity.
Different personalities.
Yeah. The sports thing, I played baseball, but I hurt some fingers playing baseball. I lived where there was no skiing. We were in southeastern New Mexico growing up, so I almost drowned a couple times in the canal. That's it. But as far as hurting myself, I did one time climb real high up into a tree, and we have these trees there. I don't even know what kind they are, but there's a lot of, the trees around here. It's like if you want to climb a tree, you've got to weasel through all the little bitty branches. We had some trees there that the lower sections were just huge space between branches. So you could climb up really high before you had to really weasel your way through some difficult, obstacles, I guess. And so anyway, I was climbing up pretty high in this big tree, and it was in the backyard of my grandmother's house. We had been playing back there, and I was really high up, and I lost my footing, or somehow I slipped and I fell down. Somehow didn't hit any branches on the way down, but I did land flat on my back on a folding chair, a metal folding chair, and it flattened it. Like the pressure of me hitting it broke the chair and flattened it. So I
That's
didn't
what's
hit
wrong
my
with your spine. As
Yeah,
we
right.
checked it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I hurt my head. And
Definitely did.
There's questions. That's question marks.
It explains a lot.
It does explain a lot. But I definitely could have used a chiropractor at that point. Right. But yeah, I hit hard, and I was pretty young. I think I was like 6 or 7. And I do remember laying there and then opening my eyes, and my grandpa being right there, who worked at the hospital, and he took me to get X-rays, and nothing was broken somehow. But yeah, that's the biggest one I remember, other than getting a center block brick thrown at me and it hitting me in the head, and I had to have 19 stitches.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, we've been
got a
playing
couple
war.
You
in the
war with
backyard.
cinder blocks.
Well, nobody.
I haven't played that
kid,
game.
That one kid on the block.
Gotcha.
He had the center block, like wedge. It was a triangle that was a broken concrete block.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And he yells grenade. And he throws the thing. I watch it bounce and hit me right in the forehead, and I still have like a tender spot right there on my forehead from where that hit me, and a little scar under my eyebrow. But 19 stitches. Yeah, there was a lot of blood from what I understand. I don't really remember it.
That's crazy.
But
well,
yeah,
you survived.
I survived.
But the reason we're telling you stories, right?
There's a reason, because this number 7 on our series, the 7th episode of this series, is about trauma, right? It's about the traumas
Yes,
we go, not
exactly.
necessarily emotional trauma. That's a completely different podcast, but it's the physical trauma we go through in our lives, because we started off last week talking about the 3 T's, which are what?
Your thoughts, toxins, and trauma.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't quizzing you. I was asking to make sure I had it right.
Yep, you got it.
Because I made the notes. I was making sure they were correct. Because I know you know. But yeah, our thoughts, our toxins, and trauma. And so if we talk about we talked about toxins and we talked about thoughts last week a little bit. But I wanted to save the trauma because it was kind of a big one. And though it may seem obvious, there's some stuff about it that doesn't seem that obvious. For instance,
Right.
If I fell out of a tree when I was 6 or 7 years old, right, I land flat on my back. I experience whatever pain and soreness I may have experienced that I don't really remember now, but I didn't go to a chiropractor because that wasn't a thing in the late 80s, early 90s in our family at least. And so, I don't know what happened. I probably was given some Tylenol and told to rest until it felt better.
Right.
And so did that trauma to my body impact me later on in life? Is that possible that that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, that we see that every day looking at patients is they wonder why we're asking what kind of traumas they had when they were younger,
Right.
because when we start doing x-rays and evaluating their spine, we see things that happen clear back in childhood that is now causing a lot of problems later on. Because you just think about, let's say if it's landed on your back and you shifted a vertebra that was not functioning well, and then your body through baseball and sitting and all the things in your life, it just not quite functioning 100%. So then that over time starts causing wear and tear, and then your body's trying to cope and adapt to that through the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, and the joint and all the stuff, to where it starts causing more wear and tear and arthritis and degeneration. So then years down the line, we see the effects of that. And so versus if you had, like a lot of patients, if they had gone to the chiropractor, it's been shown that, of course, you get the spine to be realigned and functioning well, and it helps prevent the arthritis and degeneration and so forth. But I think the main question you had is the timestamp. It definitely makes a big difference. That's one of the many reasons we see so many families and kids and newborns and babies and so forth, is the sooner we can take care of it, the better off quality of life for the long term. Most of the problems we see in adults happen when they're in childhood.
Gotcha. So we're talking about accidents like that, falling. What are some other car accident, something like that?
Yeah. So the big ones, we have the macro traumas and we have
Yes.
micro traumas. Macro traumas, we look at like the big incidents, like we were just talking about, those big accidents, which are common sense that it's going to be causing a blunt trauma to our spine, and we can see how that can cause a subluxation, which we broke down in some of our previous episodes. Of where it's the spine not moving well and it's causing an interference or disturbance within the nervous system, not allowing the body to heal and repair and communicate right. And then it can actually start impacting organs and glands, or the nerves controlling your arms, your legs, and so forth, right? So there's these traumas that can occur, like we talked about, falling on our head or bike wrecks, motorcycle, and on and on. But there's, I think what a lot of people are unaware is the micro traumas, right? The micro traumas are the day in and day out routine stresses to the body that we may not be aware that's happening, and it actually starts changing our posture or putting stress to our spine.
Okay, so what would be something that is a micro trauma, like a specific example, something that maybe that I would do that would be micro trauma for me?
Working on the computer.
Oh, I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Quite a
so
bit.
like for example, as you're typing away and you're working on the computer, and that posture of hunched over, and not that I'm sure you have perfect
I work
form.
in a chiropractic office. I sit perfectly, perfect posture all day long.
Then you should probably have a stand-up desk if you're working in the chiropractic office.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
So we have that with our front desk, but anyway, with that though, sitting is another one. Sitting for jobs just in general. Sitting creates a tremendous amount of pressure and stress to the lower back of the spine. But then usually when we're sitting, they're doing things where our head is going forward, and it causes more of a hunch forward, a flexion posture. All these things start creating a lot of stress. But these are just your everyday life stuff, whether it's even, they have the thing called text neck, right? Text neck. Basically, if you look around, there's pictures all the time about families at restaurants or the kids in the line of the bus, their head is bent down and it's causing forward head posture. And why is that important? Well, we've kind of shared some of the research from that of our posture and how that impacts our overall health. It puts a stress on your spine, starts to impact your nervous system. But it's these repetitive things that we find ourselves doing.
Gotcha. So something like how you sit when you work or when you drive, I think could be another one, right? Like somebody who drives a lot, which I think we see that some in the office. Guys who say, I'm a truck driver, and they have a kind of common denominator with like lower back problems and things like that too, right?
So like the pressure from the sitting, but then a lot of people will wear like a wallet, an inch thick, and they're sitting on that on one side, and we're adjusting to balance out their pelvis and their hips and the lower back, and then it keeps coming back. We're like, what is going on? And you see this worn out spot on the back of their jeans, and they're like, do you sit with this wallet? So anyway, little things like that can really help make a big difference to help the adjustment hold or to balance out or create less stress to the lower back.
I've carried my wallet in my front pocket for about the last 11 or 12 years because of you telling me, hey, don't put that in your back pocket anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great example. Plus sleeping, some people can sleep in weird positions, right?
Yeah. And that's a tough one to break. We have a lot of patients, unfortunately, that sleep on their stomach, which is the worst. When you sleep on your stomach, you have to turn your head one way or the other, and it creates this
for like 8 hours,
right?
If you're sleeping enough,
right?
Which I don't. But.
And usually the hips come up, and our body starts to twist and contort to kind of compensate. But it really puts a major stress for hours and hours. We're training our body to be a certain way, and then we go, and somebody can go to the chiropractor and expect, hey, I'm off balance here in my neck or my lower back, and we can adjust it, and then we go right back to sleeping the same way that's contorted. It doesn't want to hold the adjustment very well,
sure.
Right? So, sleeping is a great example of that. And then with pillows, right? So that's a big thing that can occur is everybody's asked, well, what kind of mattress, what kind of pillow should I use? And, we've got this excellent mattress for sale,
$1,999.99 only if you call today.
Yeah. No, what I recommend, basically, if you lay in your bed and you fall down to the hole where you normally sleep, it may be time to twist your mattress or shift it or get a new mattress, right? We want to have it supportive to where for your spine, but it doesn't have to be concrete. And if it's too loose, then it's not maybe supporting your curves very well. So usually we find something in the medium where it's a little bit more firm, but it has some cushion. So some people will have more of a firm bed, and they throw a couple inch memory foam topper on it to help it feel a little better, but it's still supportive to their spine. That usually works for a lot of people. And then when it comes to pillows, like we said, a side or your back is the best way to sleep, not on your stomach. So on your side, if you're a side sleeper, you want to just think about if you have 2 or 3 pillows, then your head is tilted and cranked one direction. Or if you don't have a pillow, then it's falling down because your shoulder is keeping your head up. So it puts a lot of stress. So you just think about, you want to have it level, just basic, kind of like, in a sense, common sense of we're going to be sleeping in these positions for hours on end. Try to find a position that is putting less stress to your spine. So a pillow that is the height of the shoulder. And so that way when you're sleeping there, it doesn't cause as much stress to your neck and your
So here's a question. I may have ulterior motives for you answering this question a certain way, because I'll show my wife this answer. Is it necessary to have like 5 pillows in there in bed with you while you sleep, like completely wrapped in pillows?
Definitely. That's part of feng shui. No,
that's not the answer I was going for.
That's probably why we have so many pillows on our bed. No,
right.
But when we're sleeping, we don't have them on there.
Gotcha. It's like one between the legs, one under the arm, one under the head, and one behind you to keep you from rolling back.
Well, hey, actually, that is a technique to help people
Yeah.
to try to stay in the position, especially if they're trying to break a bad habit.
And I think that's what it is, and it's good, and I support it. It's just funny.
It's like, are you in here somewhere?
Yeah.
Like you got all the pillows.
It's hot in here because of all the insulation from all the pillows. So I have to sleep on top of the blankets sometimes. No. But you're healthy. Maybe I'm not because of how healthy you are. Just kidding. I can't talk bad about her. On her birthday.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
happy birthday, Melinda. Yeah, just don't let her listen to this episode. You'll be good.
Okay. I don't think she listens anyway. Yeah.
Well, one thing too with the pillows while we're on it is back sleeping. And a lot of good pillows are where they have cervical or lordotic healthy pillows for the neck, which basically just allows that bend or that curve to occur in your neck. So it's kind of like a lot of pillows will have that little hole or a divot to help support that curve. And that's not completely necessary, but it can help a lot of people with that. It doesn't do any correction on the curve. Like a lot of people will go, I got this cervical pillow, so that's going to help straighten out my neck. I'm sorry, I wish that it was how easy it was, but that when that neck straightens out, it's going to take more than that soft little pillow. Now there are molding devices that are much more dense that can help facilitate that, and that's something that we do in our office.
Offer in the office.
And it has helped a lot of people to do that molding of the neck to increase that curve.
Awesome. So those are those micro traumas. So the macro, we're talking accidents, something obvious that people those are the things that cause people to call us and come in the first place, right? Nobody calls us and says, yeah, I've probably been sleeping wrong the last 10 years. I should probably see a chiropractor. It's always, I had a car accident, or I slipped and fell on the ice, or something like that, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, in a sense, but we do have, think about a lot of people that, hey, I do this thing every day, washing my hair, and all of a sudden I can't turn my neck now, or I went to go pick up or tie my shoe, and all of a sudden I can't get up. And it's usually that is something that's been building up and building up and building up. It's like the last straw that broke the camel's back. And so then you go in there and you do an x-ray, and you find that they've been dealing with, they had a trauma 30 years ago in their lower back, and then their body's coped with it, and it was fine for years and years, and it's all of a sudden now been causing some issues. And so kind of like what you were pointing to earlier is that buildup of time. The longer the problem's been there, the more damage it can cause. But so one thing I wanted to touch with that is our lifestyle, and because we're all going to have hobbies. We have some people, they knit, they game, they do a lot of texting or their computers or their work. On ours, as we're adjusting, we're on one side more than the other, the way we adjust, kind of depending on your dominant hand. And so there's certain moves and things we do. So like a construction worker or somebody carrying a tray, like a waitress, there's so many things that throw us off balance, and we're not going to be able to live this perfect robotic life, you know what I mean, that to keep from causing stress to our body. But that's where, what do you think helps with that? What do we do to help combat that?
We exercise.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah.
Gold star.
I say we. I do. Yeah. Just not as consistent as I should.
Well, we all have areas to improve.
That's right, we do, and that's mine.
One thing with that though, just to kind of put things into perspective, is through our hobbies we like to do in our lives or our jobs or responsibilities, the way we sleep and our habits and things like that, there's a lot of things we can stop doing, like curling up on the couch a certain way when we watch our Netflix shows, right? But when it comes down to it, what's going to help is when we are exercising and stretching, it helps to strengthen those weak muscles that we're not using as much as one side compared to the other. And then also stretching to help stretch out and loosen up the ones that we're using a lot more, right? Yeah. So it helps to balance out, not only to hold the adjustment better, right? But to hold the spine in a healthier position, much more durable and resilient, so we can be able to live life and do more things without causing subluxation or more damage to the spine.
Gotcha. So with macro traumas, micro traumas, that sort of thing, those are things that you really can't avoid a lot of them, right? Something while you're sleeping is hard to correct, or if you drive for a living, you just have to drive, right? Or sitting at a desk, or even standing at a desk, leaning on one leg more than the other, or hunching down still while you type, or just the wrist bending the way it may do. There's always something. So, but it's good to know, like, between getting correction through chiropractic adjustments as well as exercise and stretching and that sort of thing, you don't have to say, well, micro and macro traumas are an issue that you're just going to deal with, so I just have to live in pain and I'll just take a pain medicine to make sure it's not hurting me anymore. There are things you can do about it. That's encouraging.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and the thing is of course, because just as you explaining our daily lives, not just in the physical realm, we're talking about our bodies are getting a lot of stress to where chiropractic can be a great thing to help to restore function and alignment and things like that. But the reason why our goal is to not see the same person for the same thing every day of their life, we want them to get stable and get better and change the trajectory of their life and their health. We don't like to see someone just coming in for the same problem over and over, right? We want them to progress, get better. And so that's where understanding the ergonomics of the workspaces and how we're lifting and doing all that stuff and getting stronger and the muscles around our spine and so forth really help tremendously to need us or chiropractors in general a lot less, because their bodies are so much, their spine, their nervous system is much more durable and adaptive to whatever's coming its way. So you bet.
Awesome. So that's awesome. And as we get patients through care and they get correction and they start to get into more of a wellness care, they do decrease the frequency, the amount of time they come into the office.
You bet.
And that happens quicker to those patients who are doing things outside of the office to maintain their health.
You bet. I mean, that's what we like. Exactly. Because if you think about it, there's so many people right here in our small little community that need our care. I mean, we cannot take care of everybody and so the more we can help people get better and better results and then move on to the next people that are really needing that immediate care, we can focus on them. And it's so much more rewarding. And that's why we opened up the whole fitness studio as well, and all the things that we're doing here with the nutrition and the fitness and all the stretching and so forth. It's a lifestyle. I always kind of like to say, the more we're living a life or lifestyle the way God designed our body to, then they're going to need us less, right? But I've never met a perfect person. And I've never, the world is not perfect. So there's tremendous amounts of stress daily and weekly that build up on its own. We don't need to have bad habits to add to it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, that's a great way to kind of leave off our conversation on traumas, the third T of the 3 T's, and just be encouraged that yes, we all experience these traumas. We all have things that happened to us or things that we do to ourselves through the micro traumas that we put ourselves through. But there's ways around the pain and there's ways to get through it. And so that's awesome and encouraging. Thank you, Dr. Hill, for taking some time.
Quick question.
Okay, quick question.
Sorry, I was just noticing this right here you're fidgeting with. I didn't know. Is this a prop that you were going to talk about?
No, I actually hung something on my wall earlier and I didn't know if I would need 1 or 2 nails.
Oh.
So I had a second nail here in my pocket.
I thought maybe as a prop, I want to make sure you didn't.
No, and if I'm going to listen and speak well, I have to be fidgeting with something. So I was fidgeting with it. So there it is. I have a nail in my hand.
From all those hand injuries and finger injuries from baseball.
I guess so. For baseball, yeah. It's yeah. Well, you nailed it. So anyway, if you enjoy the show, besides the jokes, you can leave us a review on anywhere you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think we're on Podbean is where we host our podcast, so you can leave a review there. There's all these different places you can do that, wherever you listen to them. And then you can also comment on YouTube here, and we share these on Facebook as well. So there's all those places you can comment. You can send us a question if you have any questions at info@hillfamilychiropractic.com. That's just info@hillfamilychiropractic.com. And we'll answer those questions for you here on the show. And maybe, who knows, maybe a good enough question, it could become a whole topic for an episode.
You bet.
Which is great. But yeah, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching, if you're watching, and telling your friends about it, and just sharing with somebody who can benefit from not only chiropractic care, but just some of the understanding of how our body works and the health side of things, and why something like fitness and nutrition might be important. So
Awesome.
So thanks
Go
again.
be stronger, healthier, and happier.
Do it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.